2 right-backs. One is younger, earns less, and has better attributes. The other beat him out for the starting job. This is Manuel Lazzari's story. Let me set the scene. It is the end of the first season with Juventus. The aim is to be the most ball-hungry team in Italy, and we're off to a good start, leading the possession charts and securing a domestic double. I am now entering the first transfer window with a full season's performance data available. It's time to make the squad my own. Now my focus is going to be a single metric, possession loss rate. That's possession loss divided by passes attempted, which tells me how frequently a player loses possession. Someone like Federico Gatti gives it away just 4.7% of the time. Lois Openda, however, loses the ball 22% of the time. That doesn't mean that Openda is worse than Gatti, merely they're asked to do different things. If we're to analyse possession loss rate, we need to understand each player's function. This is our tactic, a 4-3-3 in possession. I'm not changing anything for the upcoming season because, well, it works. In build-up, these 7 players, the goalkeeper included, stay deep. They are integral to us playing through the press. They will see a lot of the ball and they need to keep it safe. Once established in the opposition's half, we end up in a 2-3-5 shape. Now the expectation is that all of the front 5 should contribute to our attacking output. The inside winger and false 9 perhaps more creative than goal scoring. The attacking midfielder and wide forward more goal scoring than creative. And then there's the right back. His main function is to merely exist. I've added overlaps, so when the inside winger cuts in, he makes the run, forcing the opposition fullback into a decision. We work the ball into the box so we don't cross too frequently. Subsequently, our right fullback is expected to create, but not to the same degree as the others in the front line. It's actually quite similar for those outside central midfielders. They are supporting players, helping maintain ball circulation and pressure in the opposition half. They should still, every now and then, create opportunities, even if it's not their primary function. The more impact a player is expected to make in the final third, the more risk he's likely to take, the higher his possession loss rate will be. So framing it that way, I expect the 2 centre-backs and defensive midfielder to be very safe. I expect the 2 full-backs and central midfielder to be mostly safe and a little creative. I expect the attacking midfielder, 2 wingers and false 9 to be the most risky. And that is largely what we see from the squad. I've organised them here in order of loss rate. There are 2 big glaring issues. We'll start with Koopmeiners. He primarily played as the pivot, but he gave the ball away more often than Locatelli and McKennie, who themselves played in a more advanced position. That's not good. More worryingly, however, is Khéphren Thuram. I mean, he's not the problem. He's bloody awesome. The issue is that his 14.6% loss rate is far better than João Mario or Pierre Kalulu. Thuram scored 21 goals and set up a further 13. Our right backs combined for 1 goal and 3 assists. That's downright atrocious. So those are our areas for improvement: defensive midfield and right back. Enter Manuel Lazzari. At 32 years old, the Lazio wingback might not have been the obvious candidate, but his performance made him the only choice. A 12.4% possession loss rate and his 0.09 expected assists is that moderate kind of creativity I'm asking for. A €2.5 million fee and 60k per week is a bargain at this level. That allowed us to move on from João Mario, with Tottenham dumb enough to give us 23 million. Now Kalulu kept the starting job at the beginning of the season, and by the end had played more minutes. But somewhere around February, Lazzari had won my trust. He was the de facto starter, the fullback I relied upon in key games. And in return he provided assists, 11 of them to be exact. That is almost treble Kalulu and Mario's combined tally from the previous season. And sure, he's starting to show signs of decline, but that 18 for natural fitness means he should still be serviceable for a couple more seasons to come. Of course, he's not our only transfer. I could not find a buyer for Koopminers, and so Weston McKennie was the man to make way. Well, his contract was expiring anyway, and there wasn't a hope in hell I was giving him the 100k per week he demanded. Ron's Maury Gabane was a strong consideration. His 7.3% loss rate is superb, but whilst his job would be to anchor that midfield, the stays back at all times trait feels too cautious. Equi Fernandez would be the high reputation option. At 8.7% loss rate, he's an improvement on Koopminers, but I'm not sure that's enough to justify his wage demands. And so I turned to Matteo Cicella. With an 8.2% loss rate, he splits the difference. He's also an effective tackler who, at just 20, has room to grow. And so for €6.5 million and 22k per week, he's my choice. Like Lazzari, he had to bide his time, and when he did get his chance, it wasn't exactly full of highlights. Not because he was bad, but because all I'm asking is for him to be safe. That doesn't make for exciting clips. Nonetheless, his possession loss rate came down to 5.5%, which is phenomenal. Now we also need to replace Bremer, whose release clause was activated midway through the first season. But there's a problem. You see, Gatti and Rugani's possession loss rate is incredible, and finding improvements impossible, so I'm looking for close to rather than better. Like Nathan, his 5.3% loss rate is equal to Rugani, but his €33 million asking price is steep. Marseille's Aguirre is up at 6%, but otherwise more affordable. But once again, I'm going to split the difference. Isaac Heen loses the ball 5.9% of the time, but he also wins more than 80% of his tackles and 70% of his headers, which is pretty helpful for a centre-back. So for €23 million and 100k per week, he's ours. That aerial ability came in pretty handy. He was an absolute rock at the heart of our defence, not just winning the most headers amongst our centre-backs, but also tackles and interceptions. His arrival saw us sell Lloyd Kelly to Crystal Palace for €19.5 million. Backup keeper Mattia Perrin joined Al Taroun for €8 million. We got the same fee from Valencia for Arta, a paltry $500,000 from Al Khalij for Arcadius Milik, whilst Timothy Weah and Douglas Luiz completed pre-arranged transfers to Marseille and Nottingham Forest respectively. Carlo Pinsoglio and Dusan Vlahovic were allowed to leave at the end of their contracts. Emil Ordero arrived as our backup keeper, not based on data, merely because he is homegrown at Juventus. So our squad depth now looks something like this, with Kalulu and Cabal able to cover centrally if need be. Nicolas Gonzalez returned from his loan at Atletico and gives us depth up top. Now let's be honest, no Juventus fan is going to be excited by a transfer window of Ordero, Heen, Lazzari and Cicella. It's gloriously underwhelming on paper. But my goal is possession, and I think we have the pieces I need. So let's see how we got on. Last year's Serie A Player of the Season, Kefam Turam had a down year, just 14 goals and 10 assists for midfield this time around. That opened the door for Kenan Yildiz to become our top scorer, finishing with 24 goals in all competitions. He was also our most creative, adding a further 13 assists. Lois Openda joined them both, in reaching double figures for goals and assists. But this is Manuel Lazzari's story, and there's one key contribution I held back. His 7th minute red card against Roma preceded Lorenzo Pellegrini's opener, and that was our first defeat of the season. In April. A week later, at home to Parma, we wrapped up the league title. It was never really in doubt. 101 points, just 1 point shy of the record set by Juventus themselves in 2014. That was part of a treble. The Supercoppa Italia went to extra time, where a Koopminers brace secured victory over Inter. We got our revenge against Roma in the regular Coppa Italia, a 3-1 win. But the Champions League was still one step too far. A home defeat to Real Madrid in the first leg of the semi-final was the end of our journey. We could only manage a draw at the Santiago Bernabeu. Results are good, but they only really matter if we're dominating possession. So let's see how we got on. 62% possession in the league is good. an improvement of 1% on the season prior. More importantly, we topped both metrics in field tilt. That's the most final third passes for and the fewest final third passes against. Now finances. There is a subplot to this save, you see. We need to make enough money to cover our debts and reduce ticket prices. Our remaining debt stands at €255 million. Our current balance stands at €229 million. We're not far off. That's just a €26 million deficit. But we're hypothesizing that ticket prices are down to €20 and season tickets €200. That means we would have earned 27 million less last season. This season, we made 44.5 million in gate receipts and season tickets. I'm dividing that by the average current price and multiplying by our target price. That gives us just €13.7 million, or 30.7 million in reimbursements. Subtract that from our balance, and we are currently 84 million short of our target. We're making good progress. We just need to find that little extra something to help us over the line in the Champions League. To do that, we need to refine the metric, start measuring risk and reward, and look at how to improve out of possession. That'll be for next episode. See you then. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support the channel further, you can join these wonderful folk currently adorning your screen, either as a YouTube member or Patreon. Details, as always, are in the description below.